Hey everybody, I'm back. It is the pull list, my weekly video looking at the books I'm getting each week. Not a lot of indies, I got a few DC, but it's a big Marvel week. So if that interests you, stick around and see what I'm getting. Marvel, big Marvel issues dropping this week. Ten of Swords is over, so if you're happy about that, look forward to some new event because we got now, number one on my list, King in Black, issue number 1, with about 7,000, sorry, they're over here, 7,000 variants. I'm not even going to run through the variants, but I will say I'm excited for this. It's been a long time coming. I've enjoyed Venom. I liked Absolute Carnage a fair amount. I didn't love the ending, but for overall, I think this could be a huge event. And yeah, I'm just excited for it. I don't know if I can handle all the tie-ins. Well, I'll do my best. But this week, how do you avoid King in Black issue number 1? Definitely getting one of these. I just want to know, where's this all going to go? Is this character of Null going to be a long-lasting villain? I hope so. But I just don't know. I wanted to mention a hard red light book this week. I'm definitely getting King in Black number 1, but they have Null Marvel Tales number 1. I have been reading Venom. I have read most of Absolute Carnage and the Null stuff. I don't need this, which is basically a reprint of a lot of the stories leading up to now. So save yourself $8 if you know all these backstories. You can skip this. On the other hand, if you are a novice to some of this and you want to try King in Black and you want to know what it's all about, this is a resource that you could use to catch yourself up. Personally, I feel like this is an $8 money grab I am not getting involved with. I'm skipping this one for sure. I don't show a lot of red lights, but for those of you that know your Marvel books and know your Null storylines, just skip this. Save the $8 and get King in Black number 1 and move on. Moving on for me, we're going to Daredevil issue 25. This has been great. It's a powerful story. He had to go through a big trial, and now it seems like he might be doing some jail time. So we're getting some Daredevil behind bars. How will that work? Does he keep the mask on all day long? Does he even go in the showers anymore? What does he do in the shower? How does he? There's so many questions. But I'm definitely going to be reading this issue and enjoying the Zdarsky run. It's just been so great. So issue 25 is a must grab. I'm totally in on this. The other two must grabs for me, the green lights, are the two X Universe books. We have X Factor issue 5. This storyline usually centers around Resurrection, but Resurrection has kind of taken a big shift after the Ten of Swords. So I have a feeling a lot of our questions about who lived, who died, who is coming back, this is where they're going to be answered. So X Factor issue 5 I think is going to be important. I'm going to pick it up. I don't know if I'm going to continue to read X Factor, but I know that this one issue at least is going to be significant. The other issue is Hellions, which has been amazing. I love Mr. Sinister, his wonderful, like, twisted, warped sense of humor, and also what he tried to pull off during Ten of Swords is all going to come back to haunt him. This cover A is hilarious, where he's like pretending to mourn the lost team that he basically backstabbed. Cover B is pretty solid with Psylocke, but for me, it's a cover A straight up. I'm going to be reading Hellions for a while. Just Mr. Sinister is awesome. I may even go back and try to snag some of the earlier issues that I missed at the beginning of this run. So those are all my green lights. I had one red light, and now I've got 2 yellow lights at Marvel this week. There's a new Fantastic Four storyline. Fantastic Four Road Trip number 1 with this kind of weird, creepy, I don't know what's happening to the FF in this cover, but it's weird and kind of messed up looking. But for me, cover B is even worse. What is the Thing doing? I don't want to see this cover. I really don't like it. This might make this a red light. Just looking at this imagery, I don't know that I want to see whatever scab he's picking. I don't want to see this. But hey, FF fans, this is a number 1. Maybe it's a storyline you want to jump in on. I don't know how this connects at all, but I couldn't resist. I'm going to get it off the screen. Bye-bye. Okay, now, the other number 1 is MODOK Head Games #1. This is a connection to the Hulu show that's coming. Patton Oswalt, the actor, and his writing partner are making the animated series that's going to be on Hulu, and this comic book is a part of that story. So if you're curious what the animated show might be like, if you want to see a little preview of what it will be, this is your baby. There's also a Scotty Young variant that's really funny. So I'm going to take a look at this and see. Patton Oswalt, very funny guy, comedian, actor. But that doesn't always translate well to comics. So I'm going to give this a yellow light, take a peek at it, and then see if it's worth my money. All right, that's it for Marvel. Let's see what over at DC this week. All right, that takes us over to DC, where I've got 3 books that I'm talking about, 2 green lights and a yellow light. I'm going to start with the yellow light because I think this is going to be a book that a lot of people want to talk about. We're talking about Tom King's Batman and Catwoman issue #1. I really can't decide if I want to pick this up or not. I am a Tom King fan, and I certainly find myself apologizing for people that don't love his work, and I understand that. I was disappointed by the way his Batman ended, but I felt like there was a nugget in there of something cool that I wish had been given a chance. Whatever you felt about the marriage and how it went down, I do think there was a story there that I wanted to know. So part of me really wants to pick this up. It might end up being something we do for book club with White Whale Comics. So I can't just definitively say yes or no to this. I am reading a bunch of his 12-issue series over the last few years, and I've been enjoying most of them. I honestly just don't have faith in DC editorial to make this any good. And that worries me. So I can't say yes and I can't say no. I want to look at it and then kind of see how I feel. So the yellow light goes for this book. I will say that I love this Matina variant. There's a bunch of variants. This is going to be big. So I'm going to put a yellow light on this, but I'm thinking about it. Another Tom King book I am going to be getting is Strange Adventures issue 7. It's been really interesting. I love the unusual DC characters that he's been bringing into his books. So I'm going to be getting this one. It's got the 2 variants, the sort of truth and fiction variants, as I call them. I really do feel like there's no bad covers for this, and I love the putting them side by side. You get some really cool imagery, so you get the one you like. This is a good solid read, and I can't believe we're only halfway through it because I feel like we've gotten a ton of information and story. I'm just curious if Adam Strange can come out of this intact or not. The last DC book on my list is Deceased Dead Planet. This is issue 6. There's a Shazam movie cover homage. There's a lot of great covers for this series. I ride the roller coaster on this one. Sometimes I feel like it's well thought out. Other times I feel like it's a cheap horror movie knockoff and, not a very good one at that. So I go back and forth on it. I do think this particular story has been better than the first one. I don't think it was as rushed, probably. So I'm excited to see where this goes. I don't know how many more issues are left, because I don't think it's a 12-issue story, but here we are, issue 6. Maybe this is the end of the first storyline. Maybe they have another Deceased down the road. I'm sure that this story is not going anywhere, but I'm curious if this is the end. Is this going to be a big climactic finish? So that's it for my DC picks. 2 yeses and a maybe. Let's get on over to some indies. As I said at the beginning, this is a lighter week on indies for me. I have 1 green light and a few yellow light possible choices. My green light is a #1 from Scout. And my LCS doesn't always get Scout and Vault, so I'm hopeful that they get this one. And I'm not going to really be able to say the title, but this is the show #1 from Scout Comics. This sounds somewhat very funny and dark and odd. The subject is a future where there were once many, many superheroes and they were all protecting the universe and whatnot. And then something horrible went down. And the last sort of family or team of superheroes is sort of traveling around the country now, like a band of gypsies, just sort of looking for work and struggling with their past and full of flaws. And imagine if it was like the Avengers after failing, and now they're all succumbing to their worst impulses, traveling around, trying to help people with their day-to-day problems. The concept sounds very funny to me. I'm curious about it. If I can find an issue number 1 at my LCS, I'm going to buy it. So this gets a green light for me just on the concept alone. I don't know much about the creators, but this does sound funny. The other books this week are Yellow Lights. There's Giga, issue number 2. Giga is an Aftershock book, I think. I can't remember the publisher off the top of my head, but I read issue 1 and I did enjoy it. I felt like it was a little bit off on the pacing, so I'm not sure. I loved We Live a lot more, and they are similar post-apocalyptic, futuristic kind of things. I'm going to look at it, skim it over, but I don't know if I'm going to guarantee the pickup of Giga issue number 2 because I just didn't love it as much. So that's it for my indies. Marvel, DC, indies all done. I've got 7 green lights if I can find them all. A couple of red lights for the first time, and a bunch of yellow lights. Let me know as always, hey, what are you picking up? Remember that we are part of the Tag Team Thursday, every Thursday. I'm 6:45 Eastern. We got Old Wolf coming right after this at 7 Eastern. Before me, you might have seen Rod just a reeking in his comics at 6:30 Eastern. We try to roll one show to the next, back to back to back entertainment. Thank you all for hanging out. Drop me a comment. Let me know what you picked up, and I'll see you next week for The Pull List.